Welcome to Education Today. I'm your host, Chuck Garrett. My guest this week is Dr. Lance Evans, the superintendent of the New Albany School District. Welcome, Dr. Evans.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
I appreciate you coming. And first, that Dr. Evans is kind of new for me to say to you. Congratulations on accomplishing that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the process of attaining a doctorate?
I would best compare it to running a marathon and finishing the marathon. In the very beginning, I went through and did my coursework very quickly for that, and then had every intention of finishing the dissertation just as fast, but life happens. And my dissertation chair, she told me, she said, well, it's going to take you 3 years to do this. And I told her it's not. Well, it did. So just to understand, probably the greatest single piece of it is teaching you how to think differently and to be critical, but not from a standpoint of negative, but critical from a standpoint of looking at all aspects of everything that you do.
Right. And you got your doctorate from
Delta State.
Delta State, and overall, how long did it take?
It took me, I did my specialist en route to it, so it took 4 years altogether.
Okay. Well done. Congratulations. I know, and you're doing that while you're working, I guess 2 of those years as a high school principal.
Yes, sir.
And now 2 as a superintendent. And so it's very difficult. Both of those jobs take a lot of time.
My wife and children are very happy that it's over.
And then, how often did you have to commute to Delta State, or were you able to do a lot of it by online?
Well, Delta State is very accommodating. They cater to that person who is working.
Okay.
And so most of the classes are hybrid classes in which we would meet 4 times a semester in person for about 8 hours per meeting, and then we did the rest through Canvas, which is the same learning management system we use in our school district for our students.
Now, when you had those 8-hour days, weekends?
It was Saturdays, just all day on Saturday.
So after a long week, here we go on that for a Saturday, and so that's a lot of work.
It is. You dread it every once in a while, but you understand in the end the payoff it's worth it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
I know it was a lot of work. And but one other thing, what was your dissertation topic?
I took the Mississippi curriculum and compared it to the International Baccalaureate curriculum.
Okay.
And I took all different aspects of it and determined which one of the 2 curriculums generated the best results for students on the ACT, for Mississippi students. And what I found, and I look at it from every demographic standpoint, socioeconomic, demographic, race, the geographical area, and what I found was that the International Baccalaureate curriculum prepared students at a level much greater than the standard Mississippi curriculum. Okay. Literally, you have .05, .005, and .001, which .001 is of medical significance. So when you think of .001, it is the medicines that you take that are in the research that happens.
When they did the vaccine for polio, that was .001.
And that's that is the level of significance in which the difference was there.
Okay. Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you. I know this past Friday you had graduation. I was able to watch some of it online, which, by the way, how long we've been streaming for a good long while, haven't we?
We started that, I think, when you were there as a superintendent.
Well, we may have. I think Les Sumner might have gotten that going.
I believe he did.
But I enjoyed watching it. I didn't watch every minute of it, but I got an opportunity to see you call some names and that kind of thing. How'd it go for you?
It went really well. We have a rich tradition in the New Albany School District of honoring our graduates and their parents. That night is all about the student and their parents.
Right.
And we make sure that we don't do anything to divert that attention away from them. And there's a lot, people don't realize how much planning goes into that graduation, because it's kind of like a statement you told me one time. It doesn't matter, you could have the best school year, everything could have went great, but you get to graduation and the sound doesn't work right, and everybody thinks you had a bad school year. So it's a great opportunity for our community. Our community is second to none in the expectations they have of our students and our school district. bleeds over into the success of the students that they have in life when they leave us.
Well, it looked like you had good weather.
It was great. Last year it rained, so we had to move it in Memorial Gym, and then once we got in Memorial Gym, a really bad thunderstorm came through the area and it knocked out the power. So of course when it knocked out the power in Memorial Gym, it knocked out the air conditioning. And of course it was raining, so you couldn't go outside. So it was a pretty good sweat box, if you will, there for about an hour and a half.
Well, I'm glad it went really well, and again, I did enjoy watching the parts that I saw of it online, and so congratulations on that. Let's kind of start with kind of your background. Where'd you grow up, family life, kind of how'd that go?
I grew up in a small town. It's a town of about 1,200 people.
What's the name?
Manatee is the name.
Okay, I have to ask.
It is, absolutely. It's in Etowah County. It's in the western part of Etowah County. The Tennessee-Tombigbee Waterway divides Etowah County, so you're from one side or the other. I'm the oldest of 3 children. My mother's my hero. She's one of those people that I am who I am because of her. So I definitely wanted to mention her. My brother and my sister are very successful people. Actually, my sister is in the education field as well. She's an assistant principal at Tupelo, Tupelo School District. My grandfather was a principal and superintendent. I think he had 40-something years when he retired. And when I first graduated from high school and went into my freshman year of college, I thought I wanted to do anything but education. And I ran from it, I guess, if you will. And after coming back around and realizing what really fit my personality best, I found that's where I needed to be, and because it offers you lots of different opportunities, everything from being a leader in the classroom, a leader from a coaching standpoint, and then a leader from an instructional leader in the school, and then at a district level. So it allows you to impact a multitude of people all across the gamut.
Well, and speaking of that, would you give us a little bit of a history of your stops as an educator, teacher, coach, etc.?
Yes, sir. I started out, originally I did my student teaching at Tupelo High School.
Okay.
And when I was there, actually, I'm sure a lot of people in New Albany know Mr. Bob Monroe.
Yes, sir.
He was not my supervising teacher, but he was right next door to me. And that's where I got to know Coach Monroe. So I really enjoyed that time. Then left there and took a job at Oxford High School. I taught there and coached there for 5 years. And upon leaving there, my daughter was born during that time, and she's now 14. So I transitioned from the coaching profession, teaching and coaching aspect of life. I moved to an elementary principal job, which that is very different for me.
Now, was that here, or was that the first one somewhere else?
That was in Etowah County.
Okay.
I went back to a town, and it's in the eastern part of the county, and the town, the name of it is Tremont, and it's actually originally where my grandfather was from. So I served a year there. It was great people, great town, great place. But the job came open here as an assistant principal in New Albany High School. And Mr. J. Foster was a principal there.
Right.
And I knew Mr. Foster from working at Oxford with him. So he had spoke to me about the job after I had taken the job originally in Etowah County, but I had already committed to them and needed to fulfill my commitment.
Keep your word, yeah, right? That's right.
So, but he came back at Christmas the following year and started pursuing again. So, long story short, I ended up in New Albany. Worked as 1 year as an assistant principal at the high school.
Right.
Then transitioned to our elementary school and was a principal there for 3 years. And then transitioned back to our high school as a principal for, I get my years mixed up, I'm going to say it was eight years. And then was appointed by the New Albany School Board as the superintendent of the school district, and have been in that role for the last 2 years.
So you just finished your second year as superintendent?
Yes, sir.
Now, while you were a principal at New Albany High School, you had a great honor. you were chosen as the Mississippi Association of Secondary School Principals Principal of the Year, and which also put you on the national level because MASSP is under the umbrella of NASSP. Sometimes these awards remind me a little bit of beauty pageants. You know, Miss America gets that title for 1 year and she does this, that, and whatever else. I know you had things that you did during that year as a result of having won that award. Could you talk a little bit about that year?
Yes, sir. You do several things from a state level in which you go. You speak at some of the conferences. You speak to other groups of leaders, and then you transition over. And I use competition. That's not the best word to use, but when you transition, because you're the state winner,
right?
And then you transition to you're in pursuit of the national secondary school principal award. Actually, I did not win that, obviously, but it was a great honor. I met lots of really good people. Spent some time in Washington with them.
Is that where the overall
that is
announcement was made?
It is, and met some great people there. I've always been a very strong advocate for leaders and teachers to get involved, not just on the state level, to get involved from a national perspective. It allows you to. I've always considered myself a big picture guy, and it allows me to broaden my horizons and understand that while we all have the same problems,
right,
we educate students differently. And another thing that furthered that understanding is as a result of serving in that as that principal of the year, I had the honor of being selected to serve on the National Association of Secondary School Principals Board of Directors. So that was an opportunity that I cherished very much, and I actually made some very good friends there, from all across the country. There's 12 administrators that represent the different parts of the United States. We met 5 different times a year, and we carried out basically policy, procedure, initiatives for NASSP across the United States. So you help set those, you help set the strategic plan, and then you help push it forward. And it was a great opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed.
Since having that experience and becoming a superintendent, have you had an opportunity to somehow use any of those contacts to help build New Albany and improve what we're doing here?
I have. Through those relationships, actually one of the years that I was on the board, Ms. Jane Elsperman was the president of it.
All right.
And I've worked very closely with her over the last 2 years to bring in some different pieces into our school district to improve instruction. And she has done a very good job there. It is, and that's a relationship that I would have never had.
Right.
And she is a very dynamic leader, and we very much so. I appreciate my relationship with her, and all of our school district does as well.
Well, as a superintendent, looking back over the last couple of years, how would you give us a few of the accomplishments or challenges that you've dealt with and y'all have overcome?
Well, anytime you have a transition in leadership, there's always that period of time in which people have to become acclimated to the change.
That's right.
It just happens because different people have different leadership styles. One of the advantages that I feel like I had is I was already in place in the district, but that is an advantage. But at the same time, because personnel had changed across our district since then in some of our other schools, I didn't have that rapport necessarily established with those new people.
Right.
So I had to go in and do that. Also, the first thing we did is we created a strategic plan, and everything we do in our school district is driven by furthering that strategic plan. So I worked closely with our board. We didn't hire a firm to come in and do our strategic plan. We did this ourselves. We're very proud of it. We hand out copies of it to everybody that'll take one because we want everybody to know where the direction of our school district.
Yes, sir.
So in doing that, that allows you to create a living instrument so that you can continuously direct people back to one goal, right? And that's furthering that strategic plan, which is set up on making sure that students receive a world-class education, that equity is in place across the entire school district, that we ensure that from a technological standpoint, we have evolving technological competence of all teachers on a regular basis.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but part of what teachers do now is teach skills as opposed to rote memorization of a lot of different kinds of facts.
Yeah.
Is that close? Or?
So think of it this way. When many of us were in school,
Mm-hmm.
we did the old sit and get method. You walk in, the desks are in rows, you sit there, the teacher basically pours knowledge into you. You're really not supposed to talk very much. You're really not supposed to ask a lot of questions. Well, that role has completely reversed. So think of the teacher as a facilitator of learning. And what he or she does is they come in and they have to, the days of standing up there for 60 minutes and just lecturing are gone. You have to break your instruction into chunks so that you and we actually have come in, our administrators, with the help of the teachers, have defined what quality instruction looks like. That goes back into that standards-based
Right.
Instruction and assessment. So just think of that role reversing. And now don't think of it from the standpoint as kids or students just doing what they want. That's the complete opposite. What it does is it requires students to take knowledge and I guess demonstrate their level of knowledge based on what they can do,
Right.
but not on a multiple choice test.
Apply their knowledge.
Apply their
to it,
knowledge,
yeah.
just as you said, so in real world, real life situations. And we have students that are very, very successful.
Which today's economy needs more and more people who can take information and apply it and be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at, I do a lot of research on where the world is and what business and industry is looking for. And we've basically gone through, we're in a fourth industrial revolution. You know, in the beginning, wind power, water power, right? The days of the grist mill and, you know, heavily agriculturally laden. Then you get into the days of Henry Ford and the assembly line. Well, then you transition from there into where you are, where we're in the transition phase right now, to the standpoint where you find more assembly line, more, you're kind of getting into that technological aspect of it. But the fourth industrial revolution, and people, when I say that, people look at me and they say, we hadn't been through four industrial, I only know we're entering it. So you think now, your children, your grandchildren, they literally are in a world in which we are using artificial intelligence, augmented reality. I mean, we're literally in the process of, they're cloning human beings now. We are, our students that are in kindergarten right now, the jobs that they will be doing when they graduate from high school and then move on to the next phase, whether it be into the workforce, into college, wherever it might be, those jobs, 75% of them haven't been created yet. And that sounds far-fetched to people when you talk to them about it. But I would challenge them to go and to do some research. Just read. And you will find that this world is evolving at a rapid pace. And you have to keep up
Right.
with the rest of the world.
Well, and just in the time that I was in New Albany, cell phones became more prevalent, Facebook popped up, Twitter popped up. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do every day now that didn't exist in 1999 or so. And that could be wrong on the year, but generally speaking. Well, specifically, and I really appreciate all that information, but specifically, I know you got some good information this last week or so about the reading gate test. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, sir. The third grade reading gate is a test in which students have to meet certain qualification levels to be promoted to the fourth grade.
Right.
And it was put into place maybe 4 years ago from the Mississippi Department of Education. And it actually, the standards of the threshold for passing increased this year for this
Right.
current assessment. And we're very proud to say our school district is in the top 5 highest performing school districts. Actually, it's 4th. It is, and that is totally attributed to the teachers at our elementary school, the administrators at our elementary school. Ms. Gwen Russell is the principal there.
Been a good addition.
She's been a great addition. Miss Emily Speck is an assistant principal there. The counselors there. It is truly a team effort, but I've always been the type person that understands the teachers are the single most important resource you have in education.
They make the difference.
Because it does not matter what you know as a leader. If you cannot convince someone to follow you, and if you cannot convince others to lead others, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
That teacher will only be as successful as that student allows them to be. And that principal will only be as successful as the teacher and the students allow them to be. The superintendent can only be as successful as
your schools.
The schools, and then the school district will only be as successful as the community demands it to be.
Right.
So that's our expectations of ourselves are much greater than even our community has for us.
Well, congratulations to the students and faculty and staff at New Albany Elementary for that accomplishment. We are about out of time. I want to hit you with a couple of quick things. I know we passed a bond this past fall. Can you give us a few details about that?
Yes, sir. We've got our bids for the work in. We've also got in the selling of the bonds, you have to bid the interest rate. We've got that in, had a very, very competitive interest rate, very excited about that. We actually had a board meeting to approve the selling of those bonds and the awarding of those contracts last Monday. So this is public information, but B&A Bank was awarded the bonds. We had 8 different banks turn in bids.
Okay.
And B&A did a great job of they're a great supporter of the New Albany School District.
Right.
And I could tell in the competitiveness of their bid, they were doing all they could to support our school district, and we appreciate that. Our work will begin this summer. We have several local contractors that will be in some facet working with the contractors who were awarded those contracts for the work. The thing is, there's not a lot that'll be done that you actually will see outwardly.
Okay.
So
infrastructure kind of
stuff. There's a lot of
stuff?
infrastructure stuff. It's a lot of heating and cooling. It's a lot of for example, at our high school, all the windows will be changed. Those windows have been there since the beginning of the inception of the school in the 60s, which it's a single pane of plexiglass. So, the comfort level in that classroom is not that great. And at our elementary school, and there's roof work done there. There's roof work done at our Career and Technical Center. At our elementary school, lots of HVAC, a complete new roof. That's a really large. That building is almost 100,000 square feet. In that building, that's a large roof.
Yes, it is.
And there's several other pieces that are being done. But the goal of this, just as we informed the public when we were campaigning for the bond, is this is heavily infrastructure-laden money, where this money will be used, with the understanding that we will come back at some point, sooner rather than later, and need to pass another bond to continue the growth of our school district for the city. Because you can ask business owners, great schools equal great recruitment of businesses.
Right, right.
Families want to know that they can have a great school to put their children into.
Well, and people may not pick up on it, but right now New Albany is in a little bit of a boom. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of that has to do with the schools and the success, because I know that people come and they visit the schools, they tour the schools, they check out what it has to say on the internet about the level of educational value and everything. So I know that they play a big part.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate it. As we get ready to close, is there anything that you would like to say to the community at large, just in general?
I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for all your support. I want to say thank you for having very high expectations. That may sound strange for someone to say thank you for those high expectations, but in so few places in this country and in so few places in our state does the community have those high expectations, which ends up requiring the school district to have those high expectations. And like I said earlier, we're the type place that we have even higher expectations of ourselves, because we understand the importance of what we do, and we're creating the leaders of tomorrow, and we want to make sure that they do a good job, because when they graduate from Albany School District, we want that diploma to mean more than a diploma from any other school district in the state of Mississippi, and that's something we're very passionate about, and something we we'll ensure continues to happen.
Well, Dr. Evans, I appreciate you being with us.
Thanks.
And for Dr. Lance Evans and the Hill Country Network, this is Chuck Garrett saying thanks for watching.